Wonderful. Absolutely. And we are live on Rising Up with Jeryl. I am so excited to have this lovely, lovely lady with me tonight, ShaRon Rea. Welcome, ShaRon. I'm so excited that you're here with me this evening.
Thank you, Jeryl.
I have to say, I'm going to read your bio, and if anybody will share out there, please share out. And I'm gonna do this whole bio thing real quick, and then I'll go ahead and share out as well. ShaRon is a family communication. Oh, I think that's yours.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut it off there. Whoops. Okay, got it.
That's okay. Listen, I do that all the time to Terry.
Ah,
She's a
stop.
family
Here we go.
communications and relationship coach. She's an author, a speaker, and owner of the Whole Family Coaching. ShaRon and I can attest to this, is one of the most compassionate women I know, with a very strong
Mm.
business background that encompasses over 30 years of experience in the fields of communication, education, childcare, and public service. She is a champion for outstanding family relationships. She's an expert in solutions for families raising teens, co parenting after divorce, grandparents raising grandchildren, and fathers taking on new roles in parenting. She's also a very dynamic facilitator, teaching tools to achieve family wholeness by combining evidence based curriculum with real life effective techniques and strategies and communication skills. This is the other part about you that I absolutely love, ShaRon. She is absolutely, not a doubt, a most compassionate and passionate woman. And she is on a very definite, serious mission to make the world a better place. She is the founder of the global movement, No Judgment, Just Love, whose goal is to inspire us to live together with unconditional allowance, one conversation at a time. I tell you what, girl, you rock it. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Welcome and welcome.
Thank you, Jeryl. I am so overjoyed. I'm just like bouncing in my seat to be with you again. We
No, it's
used to
been
do
so
these
long.
shows a couple of years ago, and
Yeah,
in a little while that I've even seen you to be able to speak together.
I know. We used to get together every Monday morning, you and I and Terry and our friend Kathleen, and we would
Yes.
do the heart brain coherence together
Hmm.
and solve all the world's problems.
We did.
See what happened to the world when we quit?
Yes. Oh, Jeryl, spot on.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess we need to reconvene so we can solve the problem again.
Yes, I think we do. I absolutely think we do. So, ShaRon, oh my gosh, there is so much going on. And I do have our live up. And later on, I'd like, if people have some questions, I'd really love for them
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
chime in on that. And we've got a lot of Karen Palmer's here with us, and
Hey, Karen.
Ryan Fiersdorfer, and I think Terry's out there with us. We've got, yes, she is, and Deirdre, Luann. Oh, thank you everybody for showing up. This is going to be something you don't want to miss. But let's start. Where do we start? Because, a lot of people have been in isolation and lockdown, a lot of families, that's your forte. What,
Hmm.
what do you see going on, and how can we help raise the vibration? What can we do to kind of combat whatever's going on right now?
Well, thank you, Geraldine. I mean, it is not an easy answer because, as we all know, this is a worldwide situation we are moving through. And I use those words specifically because we really are moving through this. It may look like a roller coaster up and down and, very difficult for many, 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 many people,
Yeah.
but we are moving through it.
Yeah.
And everywhere in the world is different. I'm out here in Scottsdale, Arizona,
Mhm.
and we are in the beginnings of our summer. And
Oh,
during many of the days in the past 5, 6, 7 weeks was our amazing spring. And so we were not on complete lockdown like some places were. We were able to go to our parks or go outside. Many families here have a space where they can go to their pool in their backyard, or their children have an opportunity to get out. So
Okay.
I feel like we had a very different experience than possibly Minnesota or Maryland or places where there's a city like New York. I used to live in New York,
Oh,
where you are in a building with many, many other people, which raises the concern level of everybody in that building, because you're in closer proximity to each other than we are or are out here in Arizona. So when I answer your question about, where are we? What can we do? I hope everyone recognizes that it's a more global answer. So put some of the things that I say in context to where you are living, how old your children are, what you are, whether you're there with just a single parent, which is an enormous challenge. I did a show 2 days ago with some parents, and I just want to say the same thing I did to them that I'd like to say now to the parents that are watching.
okay.
Yes, our healthcare workers are phenomenal. Yes, our first responders are absolutely incredible. But you, parents, you are heroes. You are heroes. I really hope you can embrace that label identifier, because the tasks that we have asked you to do are truly astronomical. No matter how old your children are, no matter what family situation you're in, to be free to go to work, free for your children to go to school, not seeing them all day, and then all of a sudden, with great speed and quickness, you're sequestered, you're quarantined. Now you also have to be a teacher. And I mean, all the things that you relied on other people to do to manage your children or help you with your children, especially if you had little ones, off to daycare they went.
Right.
Not anymore.
Right.
And so and my daughters are older. One does not live with me and one does, and she's 23. So I don't have the same experience as those with little kids or teenagers, but I've had those experiences, and I am in front of a lot of people who are still in the school age realm. So I have interaction with them. And what I would say, it's important to take care of yourself. And that might sound contradictory, Jeryl, when you have all these other people, even if it's just one more in your home, especially if it's a child, because we want to give to them. They are requiring our attention. So mommy, 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 mommy.
Right.
But if you can find even 2 minutes before you get out of bed, even if that little one is shaking your head and playing with your eyes, please do that.
Mm-hmm.
And as you begin your day and open your eyes, begin with what Jeryl, you and Terry and Karen and everybody in our community does, which is gratitude.
Yes. Yes.
There is an opportunity every second of the day to be grateful. Even though there is fear, even though there is death, even though there are people that are terribly sick and terribly afraid, there is still, when you wake up in the morning, you are in a safe space to give gratitude that you're here, your eyes opened.
Yes.
Everything inside of your body is working without you doing a one thing.
Exactly. Even your breathing is working without you doing anything.
Right?
And yes, and I love that, because that has been one of our major messages in all the people that I've had on so far. Self-care is not selfish. It's
Correct.
actually really important. I love that analogy of, how the oxygen mask comes down in the plane and you put it on yourself first, then you worry about your little one or who your traveling companion is with. And I find that especially moms have that really difficult task to balance. And there's usually some guilt that kind of goes along with taking care of oneself and feeling like, well, I really can. I really need to take care of this and everything else. And I know we have some friends of mine from our Angelic River family. ShaRon Boyle is there, and she has threes, and they're teenagers, and a twin set of two girls, and then a boy that I think is 14. So they're luckily they're in the UK and they get to go out into the woods and go down to the river and that. But still, trying to find things to do and keep the children occupied is, and take care of yourself.
Well, let me offer, because what I do well and what people, friends, clients all benefit from is a different way to look at a situation.
Okay.
And so when we talk about self-care, and I agree with you, Jeryl, so many people feel that it is selfish to take care of ourselves because previous generations have taught us by their actions and their words, take care of the kids. Kids come first. Takes a village to raise the children. All of those things are accurate and true.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a village of healthy people
Yeah, exactly.
to raise the children. Just like you don't want to put tarnished food in your soup, you want to put healthy people in the world of our children to help raise them.
Yes.
And so here's a mind shift, a new thought, hopefully, about taking care of yourself first, especially for the family that you identified in England that has teenagers.
Yeah.
Your teenagers are at an age where they're going to be moving up and out of your home and learning to live on their own. And the way they practice that is by what's happening currently in your care. And so by two things, you have daughters and you have sons. So for your daughters, when you out loud say to them, I'm going to take some time for me. You guys will be okay. I'm going to go read. I'm going to go take a nap. I'm going to go whatever it is that fills you up. And I'm asking you to respect my boundary and let me have this quiet time. How amazing would it be as a mom to know when your twin daughters go out in the world and they're 24 and 25 and 33, and they have their family and they're overloaded and they have so many things to do, that they are empowered by your example to take care of themselves.
Oh, ShaRon, I don't know if you can see this, but my hair is standing on end and I have God bumps from head to toe. And that is, oh my gosh, that is so important. And the woman that you're talking about with the twins, she says she's been assigned work from school, but I am not pressuring the children to work. They know they have work to do, and we are fairly early on in the situation that we are quite relaxed about it. However, I told them as of next week, I would like them to do some daily and then put a sticker on the chart once it's done. Twins are 9, nearly 10. So is that sound like a pretty good way? And I have to tell you, I love the fact that we teach our sons, women, we complain about, how men treat us or how the wives or the spouses or whatever. The moms and the aunts and those people that are molding, we're the ones who teach these children to be who they are to become. And I love that perspective of, I need to set my boundaries so that my children, when the time comes for them, that they can set healthy boundaries.
Absolutely.
Awesome. That is so awesome. I just love that. I really do. Because we teach people how we want them to treat us.
Yes.
And by the same token, we teach our children how, by our example and by what we say and do, how they will be treated by others and how they will act in the future as well. So absolutely. I love that whole modeling concept.
It helps take away the guilt, Jeryl, that people might feel about taking care of themselves first before anyone else in their family, especially their children. If you now view yourself as a hero,
Yeah.
as well as a, someone who's giving something to your children by taking time for yourself
Yes.
instead of taking something away from them by taking time for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. She says life skills, feeling safe, secure, and happy are more important to her.
And thank you so much for saying that, because a perspective about this pandemic virus quarantine that we're in that I see all over the internet is that, and I think I'm in a spiritual place now, so we can speak about these things, but
Yes.
our insides, our subconscious, our longings, many of us have been going to jobs that we don't enjoy and longing for more time at home. Many of us have been working longer at home and having to take no time for our children or fractured time. Many of us have been in relationships that weren't quite good enough for either one, but we sort of ignored it because we didn't have to be together. Now, guess what?
Yeah. 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 It's all kind of hitting the fan, right? If there's something to hit the fan, it's going to happen now. That's for sure.
I know. And so, just like this sweet woman from England said, those values that she has identified are more important. They are important for all of us. But
Yes.
sometimes we get on our gerbil wheel and we get going in the things that we're accustomed to, whether we like them or not. And we forget about those relationships that matter, that our health is not just going to the gym. Our
No.
health means healthy thoughts in your mind, healthy boundaries for yourself, and then joy. What about that?
I
What
know.
about happiness, Jeryl?
Yeah, I'm hoping, I keep saying this is a time out for a time in.
Yes.
Well, and I'm hoping that people are finding joy. You know, I if I had a nickel for every time I've heard over those how many decades that, everything goes so fast. We just, something has to change, something has to shift, something we have got to stop that hamster wheel that you're talking about. Well, guess what? Careful what you ask for, and it's beautiful because we did get that. And this is, what, granted, I don't have my head in the sand. I see the tragedy, I see
Oh,
the
yes.
deaths, I see the pain that a lot of people are going through. I see people that cannot get to their family members that might be in the hospital or the nursing home or the rehab. But there is a silver lining in this as well. And what we choose to focus on at this time is going to greatly impact what we see on the other side of this.
Absolutely. And you are so correct with all of those things. And I also want to add, we just went through Passover and Easter and that holiday.
Uh-huh.
And many parents, I mean, we're already overloaded with just what she identified. I have to, parent my kids. I have to homeschool my kids. I have to encourage my kids. I have to take time out and help them understand the values of our family. And I have to do Easter too. I mean, I walk a lot every day, and in my neighborhood in the past, there have been eggs hanging from trees and bunny things on the lawn and Easter egg baskets all over. I walked about a mile and a half a day. I saw not a single decoration. Now, that didn't make me sad. It just made me aware that in the scheme of what's important, decorating your tree may not fall high at the list. It might, and that's okay. No judgment, just love about where it falls. But
Yeah.
for those families that have the juggling act of so many other things, being willing to let go of what tradition has said that may not fit you right now is a beautiful thing.
It really is. I know myself. I had I had agreed. We transfer. We take turns who hosts what holiday, right? So I said, well, I'll do Easter. I said, I'll do Easter, right? This was back at Christmas time.
Ah,
I was on the phone with my mom and I said, this was a heck of a way to get out of having to do Easter dinner. And honestly, I've never felt more relieved in my life. It was
oh,
one less big thing that I had to plan, that I had to cook for. Not that I wouldn't, I would gladly do it time and again. But I can't even begin to describe the sense of relief that I had, and it was just a break. And I can't work right now because I do massage, so I've got all older clients, and all my clients are pretty much at risk, and of course the governor says we can't anyway.
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
it has been, I've been doing other things. I've been doing the show. I do the show in the morning with Terry. I'm finding myself focusing on more creative outlets, and not, I keep up with the laundry and the cooking and that, but that's not a big deal. That I can do, in between little things. So
Sure.
do you find that, um, it's kind of been my experience anyway, that instead of the normal, having to go out and do all the things that we do, I'm starting to explore the things that I want to explore and to do.
And not only that, Geraldine, but what I'm finding here as far as families, because when I walk, I'm walking through a family neighborhood and I see dads out cutting the grass, or I see kids out. There was one dad teaching his daughter how to play tennis. They just had a tennis ball and rackets, and she might have been 9, like your friend's twins. And I'm a tennis player. And I walked by and I said, "Good job, Dad." He goes, "Yeah." And then in the middle of his sentence, goes, "No, no, we're not doing backhands. Don't do that." She was hitting the ball all over. But I'm finding more chalk art on the ground, on the
Okay.
sidewalk. Kids have come out of their homes to draw not just hopscotch and pretty pictures, but really profound messages. Be safe.
Really?
We love everyone. Thank you for whatever it was that they were grateful for that day. And that speaks to the opportunity for families to really get in touch with not only, like you spoke, your own adult creativity, but to allow the values of your family becoming creative through your children, even if we're all quarantined.
I love that. I love that so much. And, Diane Beiersdorfer, she does a lot of inner child work, and she's doing a daily show, Come to the Playground. And a lot of
Mm,
us adults that need to get in touch with our inner child are meeting up with her every day and letting that child in us. Because I've never had children. And so it's just Terry and I and my husband here. So there's no little ones around to kind of bring that out. So I have found, and I don't know, if any of your clients have found this, but that I'm reaching out. And that's one way for me to kind of get that part of me alive again. And we have the time to do that now. Think of all the
yes.
things we have the time to do that we didn't have before.
I love that. And with respect to everyone who has made the choice, or the choice has been made for you to not have children in your world and not be a parent, uh, I would imagine every single one of us has been a child. And
Yes.
so there is a child in us that has had experiences. So that daily opportunity to go play enlivens your spirit. I know I talk to my inner ShaRon, and I see her like she was in the first grade with my white crinoline slip and my red sash and little strawberries on my dress. And then I see when Ricky spilled grape juice on it and I started crying.
Oh, I love
But
that.
I talk to that little child because when I feel scared, or when I feel down, or when I feel angry, when I feel anxious, I know she inside of me is longing to not feel that and come out
Yeah.
and play.
Yes.
And so, what you and your community are doing, in my opinion, is extremely valuable, because we parents, and this is about parents, we are the models for our children. And if we're constantly grumpy or constantly short, We haven't taken time for our morning time or whenever during the day, self-care. Like your friend, we have not identified what our family values are and then share them with our children.
Yes.
Then it becomes, automatic that we take in other people's perspective and we start living from other people's perspectives. And
Right.
that's not always joyful or useful for
Right.
us individually or for our children.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's taking back your power. And I think that's really important right now is that in because in so many ways we've lost our power, we've lost the control. I mean, even though some of us are no longer on lockdown, there are still those who are under stay-at-home orders. We can't just go out and shop and do the things we used to do. There's so many things that we cannot do, that I think one of the biggest things that we were grieving in the beginning of this whole pandemic was the loss of control, the loss of the old way. And are you seeing, so in my mind, what I see or think might happen is, because we have no control out there, we have limited, let's put it that way. How has that impacted inside the home? Because that's about the only place we have left that we have any kind of control over. Do you see it kind of going sideways, or are people coming together in that? What has been your general consensus of that?
My overall sense is, as you said, there is a tender place outside of what I'm getting ready to say for those families experiencing the coronavirus with their relatives, whether they are, or themselves, whether they are sick, they're in the hospital, or they have just left the earth. There is a very different tender place for them. And the majority of the people, and I'm really involved in our school district here, so I interact a lot with the PTOs and the parents and the children. And what I'm finding and hearing, there is a shift that's being made because of the length of time that we've been quarantined.
Mm-hmm.
Previous catastrophes have lasted not as long, tsunamis or 9/11, or things that really bring us together. And I think in many, 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 many ways, you're seeing so many wonderful people come together to help their community.
Yeah.
And so there was a shock in the beginning. Oh my goodness, you're asking me to do what as a parent? And now I have a very different respect level for the teachers that are teaching our children. I have a very different respect level for what they're learning that is of value and what they're learning that may not be so valuable.
Right.
And so that shift that has been observed by me, because as I said, my daughter is 23. So for those parents out there that have older teenagers and young adults, I can speak to a different transition that we're making. But for those of them in school age, I'm finding that there's an exhale, because I have to do this. I don't really have a choice. I can't send them off. And I think naturally, if we allow ourselves to not stay in the pain and stay in the anger and stay in the frustrated and why can't I go out and why can't they have a graduation and all of that, then just like you said, Jeryl, the creative ways to accommodate the things that you ordinarily would be in together outside in a place. I mean, there's so many people I find have knocked on a door, all the cars are lined up, and they're singing happy birthday to their friend who has cancer who can't come out of the home.
Oh, wow.
Many of the students here in my neighborhood, our school district has purchased lawn signs and given them away free for all the families in each district to say, congratulations, seniors, from every high school.
Oh,
and so when seniors drive around, they see that their community is in support of them, even though they've postponed the prom and all of those things. So
right.
What I'm finding is that the resilience of families is starting to be prominent. And people are finding they don't need as much as we thought we needed to be fulfilled, to be comfortable, and to be together with each other. Now, I do want to, just like there's a small, not a small, but a space that's sacred for those people who are having health issues,
Right.
there's an equal large space in my community for those who have less resources.
Okay.
Some of our parents do not have access to technology, and all of these classes are now online.
Yes.
And so our school district has rallied together with so many wonderful open hearts of volunteering to donate laptops, to purchase
Wonderful.
laptops. So these families can have a way to access their lessons for their children.
Okay.
Many of the students in our community are Title I, which means that they need to come to school in order to get the basics of food.
Okay.
It's not available to them. I'm going to start crying in a minute. Hang on. It's not available to them at home. And what our, I don't know what the title of the person is, but the person in charge of all the food for our district has been setting up stations throughout our district where you can come morning and afternoon and pick up free breakfast and free lunch for your family. You just drive by, they drop it off to you, and you go on home. How is that?
See, that's amazing. I think this is these are the silver linings in the cloud. These are the things that show us what we are made of. These are the things that show us just how compassionate and how much love we have for humanity. And it makes me feel so good when I hear stories like that. I love that. I
Yes.
absolutely love it. Yeah. Um, so here's one like ShaRon that's over in the UK. She says, in the scheme of things, it hasn't really been a long time. We have no idea when schools will reopen, and I am prepared as I can be for the long haul. I feel for those who were due to take vital exams graduation, but as this is a global situation, everyone is in the same boat and we will all have to catch up. And that's so true. And Karen Palmer says, such compassion in community, what a blessing. And she's right. And she said something earlier. She said, it's the teachers also, we start to see what heroes, because of this, the teachers truly are.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And the neighbors that are picking up where the government left off, where the schools might not be able to accommodate, where, they're, I don't know why, and I don't need to debate why toilet paper is such a commodity that's really around the world. But I have more than one neighbor friend. Hey, I'm going to the store. Do you need anything? And I do the same for them.
Yeah, we do the same thing here. I do have a little bit of a theory on this, and this came from my brother on the toilet paper thing. Now, I know there is the natural hoarding, but think about it. Your children and you are gone to work all day long. The
Yeah.
whole family is gone. There's no one in the house. Guess what? Now you have everyone in your house 24/7.
Yes.
Now, my brother said, I spent a lot of time in the bathroom at work, and in all, I have to say, in all fairness to people, I mean, we have 3 of us here in the household. We went, and 2 women, okay, and 2 women who drink over a gallon of water a day.
Wow.
Yes. And so, I mean, I know that there's some craziness about all of that, but I do believe there is actually a bigger need in our homes than there has ever been, because you have your kids, you have your spouse, everybody's home all day long.
And they're all eating all day
Yes.
long.
And drinking all day long. So
Yes.
I'm going to cut people a little bit of slack on the whole toilet paper issue, but I do agree.
Absolutely.
I think there's a little bit of hoarding going on, and I think it's that, especially in the very beginning, and we didn't know. We looked at China, we looked at Italy, and we looked at these different countries, and I think the media just had us whipped up into a frenzy, a fear frenzy, and I think that had a lot to do with it, and that survival kicks in. And I think people are. I know that when Sam went to the store the other day, there was actually toilet paper at the store, and they limit you to one, thing, which was great because we were down to 2 rolls. I was like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I heard lettuce is I heard lettuce is a natural toilet paper.
Well, one of my good friends here, she said, when we were kids and when our babies were kids, we used washcloths.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
I have a wash machine. If it comes down to that, we can do that. So, yeah.
Jeryl, I wanted to, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, please.
I wanted to offer some tangible mind shifts for your audience today. I mean, divine things happen. I did this workshop last week and I had the PowerPoint up. So with your permission,
I'll just
go through a few of them.
Put you full screen and let you come up and show everybody what you've got.
Okay, I'm gonna, should I share my screen first or you want to do your thing first?
No, I just your full screen now to everybody. So you just go ahead and do your thing and I'm gonna watch.
All right. Okay, let's get to, up there, they went out of the way. So here we go. Go away. There we are. Okay, so we already talked about this a little bit, but it's the opportunity to shift your mind away from, when I take care of myself, I'm taking something away from my children or my family, and actually recognize that every positive, not positive, fractured, angry relationship within the family begins with each person's attitude and each person's peaceful or not peaceful energy that they give to the collective in their home. So I offer parents to think about that. And when you do take time for yourself, please, no judgment, just love. If you want to identify some things that you'd like to change or do different, please do that. But spend some equal time on what you do well. Spend some equal time recognizing how you have been a blessing to the world and your family.
I love that.
This is no judgment, just love in action. It is loving not only your children, but yourself without conditions. We are human, and human is up, down, and every which way. But at our essence, we are pure and perfect. And so when you love your child without conditions, they recognize that they don't have to do anything but be who they are. And that is an absolute freeing space to be in. Yes, you're going to discipline them. Yes, you're going to correct them. But they know that that's for their best good, because every day, all the time, you love them without conditions. Your child's not a mini you. I think we talked about this a couple of years ago, Jeryl.
Yes, we did.
Even these two, I can't tell which one is the mom and which one is the daughter, but they look exactly alike. And often as parents, we think our children should think and act as we would expect them to based on what we know. Because they're in our family, they look like us possibly, but why are you saying those things when I think all of us should be the same? Yeah. So I invite you parents to just observe your children a little more and know that they have their own path, they have their own way, and just love them without conditions once again.
I love that.
See your child's strengths. It's natural, and it's become, in my opinion, an unfortunate habit that we are constantly trying to correct ourselves, judge ourselves, or see what's wrong with our children that bothers us, that annoys us, that they don't get done. And so when you can shift your mind to focus on what they do well, Whatever we focus on expands. And so when you focus on what they do well, not only do you start to see more things that they do well, but that positive energy goes directly to them and they start to do differently for themselves, which can equal doing better. So see your
Love that.
child's strengths. Well, who's got teens? Who's got a child that just won't let you be, constantly wants to talk and yakety yakety yak. So parenting patience really is a virtue, because as teenagers, their brains are developing and they talk so much, many of them, not all of them, that they don't really get a chance to hear what's coming out of their mouths, to really embrace what they're thinking. And yeah, they may be telling you the same story 5, 10, 12 times and you've heard it, but listen and be patient and allow them to really finish a thought. Not only does it help their brain connect, but it also helps them hear to decide, and you won't have to say, oh, what did I just say? That was wacky, Mom, wasn't it? Or, wow, that was a really cool thing I said. Don't you think so, Mom? And if you didn't interrupt and you were patient, then you will have heard that.
Yes. Kids just want to be heard, don't they?
Yes. And kids are many people, and we all just want to be heard.
We all want to be heard. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Listen and observe more. This is pretty obvious. Often we want to, especially when we're quarantined, peace is important when we're quarantined. A calm environment is important to us. And sometimes we just want to cut our children off and help them or really move them to what we expect them to do so we can all gain some peace. But even in this time, just like your friend ShaRon in England, is allowing your children to discover their world, even if it's just inside your home. And you do that by listening more, observing them, and talking less, solving problems less. Ask them, how do you think is a good way to solve this? What are your thoughts? Get them thinking so you're not constantly the one solving things for them.
That's great.
Imagine the best case scenario. Again, we often, okay, let me plan for the worst. Let me stock up. Let me, whatever it is that's going to abate something that I'm fearful of. But what if, because what you focus on, you get more of, what if you started to imagine what could go well in your world, not only in yours, but for your children? Oh my, we're sequestered here and you didn't get to go to school every day, but look at all the best case scenarios that can come out of that, instead of focusing on the loss of the things.
Yeah.
Well, laughs, we can't really hug all the time, but guess what we can do? What you can't get from somebody else, you can give to yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that.
How can you, even in this time that may be challenging, that may be scary, that may be frustrating, how can you renew, if you've lost it, your passion for being a parent? This is a privilege that we have, that these young people have chosen us to help guide them through this wackadoodle time here on earth. And in that vein of them choosing, us having the responsibility of guiding and recognizing that we matter, hopefully those are some ideas that can help renew your passion for parenting. And then guess what? The only person you can control. The only person you can control 100% of the time is you, baby, just you.
Yeah.
And likewise, your children can be influenced by you up to 99%. And that 1%, they contain control of themselves. And as parents, when we can embrace that idea, then we recognize that we have an important role, just like my client said today, ShaRon, you're in my head. I heard you in my head.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure we want our voices inside our children's head, but in a way that they don't go, I'm not listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
So thank you. I am happy to answer questions, or I just want to end that little list with any impressions people have, any comments that they have, anything you have, Jeryl Ann?
Oh, well, first of all, that was like so amazing. And Karen says it was totally awesome. I am so inspired by these ideas. And, you know, we can use these ideas not just with our children, but with each other. I mean, we're all human and we're all moving through this together. And she said that her daughter is coming next for a visit next week for Mother's Day, and she's going to apply these.
Oh,
So,
Karen, how
yeah, that
exciting.
is so wonderful. You know, that is that was so clear and concise. Thank you, because I mean, it's actually quite simple, but we are, each and every one of us, even I had a great deal to do with my niece and nephew being raised, and I found, even though I didn't have my own children, I found myself doing the same not so cool things that my parents did with me, I did with them. And I've even they're in their 40s now, and I've even called them up and said, you know, I'm really sorry, but
Mm,
I repeated the same patterns that my mom and dad, and they repeated from their parents, and they repeated from their parents. And this is also an opportunity to break the cycle,
mm-hmm.
you know,
Yes.
and those are
Yes.
cycle breakers. What you just showed us, those are cycle breakers. I love that. I really love that. And Karen also said, she said, this is going to help so much. And I do, I believe it's going to help anyone that sees this. It will help them to approach their children differently and all of their relationships differently. Because I
Yes.
think that applies just as much to myself and my husband,
Mm-hmm.
to myself and my friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in all relationships, we all want to be heard.
Oh my
You
goodness,
know,
yes.
we all want to be validated.
Yes.
And every one of those things that you brought up is so, it is just so important for each and every one of us. And she said that you helped, Karen says that you helped her with her daughter in their communication styles, and it helps so much. And she even mentioned earlier in the show, and I know I have some friends that have seen you as well, and I can attest to the absolute changes that you inspire in people and help them to come to when you work with families and in all different kinds of scenarios. And that is so powerful, ShaRon, because the family unit was breaking down so
Mm-hmm.
dramatically in our culture. And I believe that this is another one of the silver linings in this cloud, is that we're back to the family unit. We don't have a choice.
Yes.
We can't be scattered. We can't be spread out. And now there's time. There's no excuse not to have family dinner together. You
Right.
know, there's no excuse not to go back to those values that, you know, in the old Ozzie and Harriet days, if you will. And I mean, they weren't, I mean, let's face it, there was a lot of facades there, but still, we got so busy and so much on the hamster wheel that we lost sight of how important that family unit is.
Absolutely. And the unit consists of individuals. And I think that that is something that we're able to, when we take time for ourselves in the morning, to decide, how do you feel? What are you grateful for? And then look out at each person and see their strengths.
Yes.
If you have a husband or a wife or a grandmother or an aunt and uncle, see what they're good at. Just kind of observe them a little more and observe them without conditions, just no judgment, just love. And some of that might make you chuckle. Some of those observations might make you go, oh yeah, I was right.
Yeah.
But it just gives you the opportunity to renew not only your passion for parenting, but renew your appreciation for the people that are in your world.
Right, for each other. And I know we're coming up. We got about 10 minutes left. I would love for you to talk a bit about no judgment, just love. Oh my gosh, I just love that. Okay. Yes.
Thank you,
Okay.
Jeryl. And well, the big news is this May 15th, what's today, the 2nd? So 13 days from now, I'll be celebrating 6 years, the anniversary of starting No Judgment, Just Love.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. Now, for those on the call or watching the replay that have not heard of No Judgment, Just Love, those for me and many people around the world, powerful words. Of course we judge all the time. No judgment doesn't mean you're not going to judge. Absolutely you do. But when you do judge, I'm inviting you by those 4 words, no judgment, just love, to move farther away from harsh and harmful judgments about yourself or others, and closer to loving allowance for everyone to feel comfortable in their skin and live in our world. Whether you agree with them, then you will love them close. If you disagree with them, you don't have to understand, let them be and appreciate them from afar, or just let them go. And so with no judgment, just love, as you pause after you make a judgment, and you will, and there's no judging on the judging of whatever comes up in your head. Just use what I call your GPS. It's a directional system for your soul, not your car. And your GPS is your greatest personal shift to a higher place or a more inward place where you know better. You know that everyone, we are all connected. You know that every person is valuable to our collective consciousness. And when you can take a breath and go to that space, then you can choose, do I want to say something or not? If I do choose to say something, how will I say it? So really what you're doing is giving yourself the opportunity to judge, which we do.
Right.
And then choose how you're going to speak, act or react, and then how you treat yourself and others.
I love that GPS. I really do. I wanted to send something by you because this is I know you're so passionate about this. I saw this, and I can't. I cannot tell you exactly who or where I read this, but there is a difference in judgment, and what they were saying is that judgment that has a negative emotion attached to it, that when you look at something and you judge it and you're feeling this really negative energy about that situation, that person, or whatever, that's one form of judgment. But to observation is different in the sense that there's no emotional charge to that. So there's judgment and there's observation. Now, like you said, we're as a culture, we're competitive, we're taught to judge. We're taught to judge every single thing that we do. But I loved that shift in perspective between judgment and observation.
Yes, yes. And you know, Geraldine, just like there are 8 billion people, there are infinite ways to describe all the words that we have. And that is a beautiful one, to be able to say the difference, to help yourself understand what might be a negative judgment versus just an observation that is not charged with an emotion. There's also a difference between judgment and discernment. And so judgment is more often placing an us and a them, a right and a wrong, seeing two sides that are not consistent with each other. Discernment helps you view the whole situation in a more allowing way to say there are many different sides, and that can cause you to have a different action or reaction.
Yes.
And as it is evolving with these 6 years that I'm learning, I'm finding that it's not really the conclusion of the judgment, whether it's observation, it's I'm just observing, or I'm discerning, or I'm judging. It's what you do next that defines whatever, however you judged, observed, or discerned. Because what you do next inside your head, speaking about yourself. And here's a very, very simple way that when I was with the elementary school, I offered to them to think about after you make the judgment, after you use your GPS and take a breath, ask this very simple question. Is it helpful or is it harmful what I'm getting ready to do, say, or be?
I love that. Helpful or harmful? Choose helpful. And I wanted to say, Karen Palmer put up Take the Pledge, www.nonjudgmentjustlove.com. Will you explain to us quickly what the pledge is?
Yes, the pledge is evolving, y'all. Because for our 6th anniversary, Karen, thank you so much. Yes, go to www.nojudgmentjustlove.com, and right on the homepage, you can download the pledge. And the pledge is 5 ideas that I invite you to consider inserting in the way you live. Now, I'm recognizing that even in this pandemic and in this coronavirus, that some of our words are not necessarily helpful, but more harmful. And so I'm wanting for No Judgment, Just Love, not only to inspire people to live with less judgment and more allowance for each other to be, but to choose their words carefully, because words are motivators or they're demotivators of your actions. And what I've uncovered is that a pledge, although we all understand what that is, the energy around it for me feels a little heavy. It feels a little older. And so what I'm migrating to, the ideas of the 5 pledges that you're going to find on nojudgmentjustlove.com are now going to become action steps that you choose to do.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Well, ShaRon, I hate to say this, but we're just about out of time. So I know this went by so fast. I could just keep talking for hours with you. I've missed this so much, my friend.
Yes, me
I
too,
would
my
like
dear.
to put up here your contact information. I've got to slide over a little bit. Okay, this way. I guess
I love the colors, Jeryl Ann. They're great.
That just bright and vivid, and just I love it too. So, ShaRon, how can people get a hold of you? I have it up here, but please tell them a little bit about.
Wonderful. There are 2 different ways right now. One is to come and get the benefit of a free mini conversation about anything that's going on in your family. I always offer that. And you can reach me at ShaRon, that first one there, ShaRon at thewholefamilycoaching.com. And really share that with friends and neighbors that you know are going through tough challenges with their families. I welcome the opportunity to help them find peace. And then for No Judgment, Just Love, we have a new website, because not only are we global already, but we're ready to fill the world with No Judgment, Just Love. So the new website is www.njjl.world.
I love that. And Karen Palmer said that she and you just did a new coloring book together as well.
Yes.
I sent the No Judgment, Just Love coloring book to my great nieces and family members, and they absolutely loved it. My
awesome.
One is a little budding artist, and she is absolutely amazing. So, and
yes, Karen and I, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Karen just said that she has them for the children at www.globalkindnesstv.org.
That's great, Karen. I was just going to say, give the website, because we did a combined one about saving the bees and the giraffes. both
Oh my
beautiful
gosh.
insects and animals in our world that deserve our attention. So I'm honored to be
Yeah.
there with Karen in those books.
The giraffe is my totem, so I'm going to have to get that. And of course, I love the bees because I have my gardens everywhere. So
Oh, yay,
I
Karen,
love that. I'm going to
yay.
have to
Thanks,
check that.
Jeryl.
So
Well,
thank you
thank
so
you,
much.
everyone. I really hope that your families are in a peaceful, safe, and healthy place. Please call upon me if I can offer any support and mind shifts.
I know you. This was amazing, and I thank you so much. You're going to have to come back on again soon, please. Promise.
Yes,
I would
I
love that because we have so
God's
much
honor.
that we can talk about. And I would like to thank all of you who tuned in with us tonight and your comments. I am so grateful for all the support and for wanting to rise up and make the world a better place. That's the whole goal right now. And next week, please join me. I'm going to have Dr. Ruth Anderson on. She is the founder and creator of Enlightened World Network and EWN Enlightened Living. This was her birth, this was her brainchild. She put everything she had into it, and she's an amazing woman. And her whole goal is to heal the world and to bring programming to all of us that will make our lives richer and better. So I hope you'll join me next week when Dr. Ruth Anderson comes and lets us know what's going on in the world in EWN. And in the meantime, everybody have a blessed week. Have a beautiful rest of your weekend. And I love you all so much. And ShaRon, I love you so much. Thank you, sweetheart. This
Thank
was
you.
great.
Thank you, Jeryl.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
night, everyone.
you. Good night, everybody.